The final round of power pool play in the men's division gives us a beauty of a matchup. Australia Colony and Canada Goat, Sydney versus Toronto. A delectable showdown that we've been looking forward to since before this tournament began. It's a privilege to welcome you back to the World Ultimate Club Championships here outside of Cincinnati. Alongside Ian Toner, I am Evan Lepler. Honored to have the call for this matchup. Obviously, Jimmy Mickle and Chris Kocher, part of this strong Australian team that went to the semis 4 years ago. Toronto Goat, maybe the top team that's riding under the radar with their championship caliber experience and depth that can match any of the American teams.
There's a reason they're a top 10 seed and the top team in Canada. They've got talent that's been tested on multiple championship levels. Excited to see what they're going to bring against a Colony squad that, frankly, Evan, we've been a little underwhelmed by in these first few rounds. The French national champion WUCC pushing them to the brink in one of their first pool play games and really not demonstrating those convincing margins of victory that you'd expect a top team to produce in the early stages of pool play at the World Ultimate Club Championships.
WUCC led Colony 7-4 before Sydney really took charge. Goat this morning beat that same WUCC team 15-4. Is that indicative that Goat comes into this game as the favorite?
I think that's one compelling argument, and I do think there were some contingencies and different circumstances when you look at those two matchups. WUCC was coming out swinging early in pool play. They thought they had a chance to do things. But when you look at that matchup against Goat later today, or earlier today, I should say, WUCC understood that if Goat was running away with this one, maybe it's time to start resting their legs and saving some of that talent and saving some of that energy for other power pool and future bracket play games.
So let me rephrase. Who is the favorite in this game?
I'm going with Goat. I think they have greater depth. I think we've seen in these earlier games, too often Colony needs to rely on that top-tier talent. Jimmy Mickle, Chris Kocher, always needing to be called on the line to get those breaks, anchor the D-line offense. I haven't seen that depth, and sooner or later that mileage so early in the tournament is going to start to catch up with them.
Well, both these teams are 5-0 as they begin this game. You don't have to go undefeated to win a world championship, but in fact today is the final day where you can lose and still be the world champions. So there's an interesting twist in this game in that it only impacts seeding. Both these teams are assured of being in the championship bracket based upon their 5-0 surge through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday here in Ohio, but perhaps a statement game. And for Colony, it does feel important. If they're going to show to everyone that they are truly a competitor to win this thing, they need to come out better than they did against WUCC on Sunday afternoon. So Goat will pull in the black. Colony in the gray with a red and black stripe, ready to receive. Goat and Colony underway from the showcase field. And the pull sails out of bounds. Tom Chulet will pick it up. One of the things we saw yesterday was Sunday, I should say, Mickle and Kocher were not very involved in the offense through the first 10, 12 points of the game. It was Tom Chulet and Mark Evans, Abra Garfield. Later in the game, when Mickle and Kocher did get more involved, things changed. Right now, the first two cuts, Kocher going deep, Mickle coming under, and they each touch the disc in the opening seconds. Downfield, Mark Evans takes the shot, and that's exactly what Colony wants to do. A 1-0 lead on 4 smooth connections.
Really simple vertical stack offense, clear initiation from the back of the stack. And once they got in the red zone, Evan, we saw Mark Evans hit this shot multiple times against WUCC on Sunday. Despite the trap backhand force, he steps out, puts that soft outside in flick to the opposite sideline.
The 18th assist of the tournament for Evans, who 2 years ago at the World Ultimate and Guts Championships had 15 assists for the tournament for Team Australia that won the bronze medal. Second on that team behind Sebastian Barr.
Well, Evans has really evolved as a primary handler.
Yes.
He's really reined in some decision making, maybe taking fewer shots, more calculated looks when he pulls the trigger, and he's now being trusted with the responsibility of anchoring and leading that offensive unit.
John McNaughton launches the lefty pull.
Worth noting, Evan, for our viewers at home, we've got a pretty significant crosswind.
We're 0 for 2 on pulls and bounce.
Definitely confusing the pullers on both teams. From our perspective, and as you can tell from the flags in the background, it's going, as you look at your screen right now, from right to left, from our near sideline to the far flick sideline.
Cam Harris staring at a zone defense. And the reset requires a layout from Thompson McKnight. One thing to note, this GOAT team is without Andrew Carroll, who's become one of the top cutters in Canada. And we knew coming into the week they'd be without Mark Lloyd, who'd be playing for Winnipeg General Strike. Those are two big names that GOAT is without. Of course, they're not lacking talent by any means. Nathan Hurst sees Ben Burrell, and he gets it past the bidding defender, Gavin Moore. It's 1-1, turnover-free ultimate so far.
Well, I like that strategic decision by Colony to start this game in a zone. When you're the opposing offense, you want to generate an easy O-point, run some of your bread and butter plays to start building confidence and building that rhythm with the offense. And when you come down in that zone, it really stops GOAT from running any of their traditional pull stack plays, their split stack plays, forces them to adapt and use a lot of mental energy right off the bat.
I think both these teams on the O-line have the throwers to slice and dice through zones if they're patient. That's the if.
That's a great qualifier because there are certainly some trigger fingers on both of these squads, and
that's for sure. Dave Hochhalter with a pull. And it is the first pull of the game that is fielded in play. Tom Chulit, longtime Colony contributor, played for Denver, Johnny Bravo, to Mickle, who leaps near the sidelines and sends it deep. Mickle's majestic flick on the money. Tracked down by Alex Shepard. Quite the contrary compared to Sunday. Jimmy Mickle heavily involved in the first 2 0 points for Sydney's Colony.
Well, a really underrated possession-saving grab there, and then Alex Shepard has been a speedster deep threat all year for this Colony offense. Had his coming out party at the Australian Ultimate Championships earlier this year.
Can you put this throw in perspective into this crosswind for me?
It's pure power. It's perfect technique. I'd say maybe there are a handful of other throwers here in the men's
small
division
handful
who could execute that with that level of precision and consistency.
Jimmy Mickle delivers. He'll be 27 next month. Goat offense back on the field. Low throw. Thompson McKnight again forced to go to his knees to make a catch. Adrian Yearwood, the veteran out there for GOAT. It's a zone defense, but it looks like a different zone than we saw from the first point.
Looks like they may have changed the force a little bit, but seeing a very cup-like structure at the front. A few of those front defenders also sometimes turning their back to the disc to pick up the nearest cutter.
Crafty scoober from Connor Armstrong. Armstrong has really assumed more responsibility for Toronto's top ultimate teams at every level. This kid was a young guy just learning over the past couple years, and now you're starting to see that potential emerge when you talk about Armstrong as he picks up the assist, and we're tied at 2.
So far this weekend, Armstrong notching 4 assists and 2 goals coming into this game.
He was the 2016 Ultimate Canada Male Athlete of the Year for his captaincy of the Canadian World Juniors team. They won silver in Poland. Yeah, that Toronto's fortunate to have. A lot of Toronto natives on this team, but they do have some other, I don't know if you call them ringers, but folks from Vancouver or Ottawa joining the Toronto program here at Worlds. No turnovers so far. Will the perfect offense continue? Aber Garfield. Got Mickle going deep. Kocher's gonna send it. Mickle's got steps, but the throw's not gonna get there. And it's easily knocked down by Mario Zlatic. The other way, Jarrett Marin is looking for Zlatic, and Tulit ensures that there's no play. So there's the first 2 turnovers. I think just one quick point about that Kocher throw. Similar type throw to what Mickle did. And I think Chris Kocher might be better at an all-around player than Mickle, but as a pure thrower, it puts in perspective how impressive that throw was from Jimmy a couple points ago. Kocher goes short this time to Evans. And Mickle able to stay on his feet. Shepard through the contact of Arsenal. Kocher inbounds, marked by Jason Huynh. Sneaking up the line, Kocher landed just shy of the end zone, I thought, but they're gonna call him in.
Kocher doing a great job of milking as much yardage as he possibly could out of that cut once he knew he had his mark beat. Just continuing to run with the disc as he goes into the end zone, and that's one of those areas that Chris Kocher is so difficult to defend in. He's got great change of direction, incredible short area speed.
Was he in the end zone? No, he was, I think, on the line.
We're looking at the same thing, and I've got a different perspective.
Okay.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll admit I'm wrong and say you're right. That's fine too. So Mickle and Kocher heavily involved at the start of this one. Mentioned this story during our coverage of the Colony Chalk game, but it wasn't actually someone from Australia that recruited Mickle and Kocher to Sydney. That duo that's been friends since they played Junior Worlds together when they were 20 years old. Only because Mickle was late in the process, removed from being an alternate, something he's still a little bitter about.
And there's a classic GOAT split stack initiation play, peeling off to give Cam Harris that underneath gainer to get things started.
Nathan Hurst, did he catch it? That's the question. Rob Andrews.
That one, on first glance, looked down from here.
And it's hard to tell. Anyway, Mikkel and Kocher were the ones that reached out to Tom Tullett saying they wanted to move to Sydney, and this was before Club Nationals last year. So at this point, they were just talking about playing Australian Nationals and not really considering the World Championship implications. Chris Kocher just walked by and made the video review motion that we saw so many players at the World Cup make, the outline of a TV screen.
How many more years until we get VAR at the World Ultimate Club Championships, Evan?
Well, officially, we're many years away. Unofficially, we could do it now, but there's no protocol for it right now. And I think by definition, you would need someone to administrate it, and we don't even want anyone to administrate the games at the WIFDF level, other than powerless game advisors. Here's Burrell from McKnight. And we're even. Every score down at this end zone. It's 3 apiece. 6 points in. Colony and Goat in this power pool matchup. Each team trying to stay perfect. One of these teams will head into the middle of the week at 6-0 at the World Championships.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
There's Sachin Raina, the head coach of Toronto Goat. He was a player in the program for a long time, an assistant under Scott Hasty, and now assuming leadership. Good to see him wearing his number 61. That's the number he wore when he was playing. He wore 61. He always wanted to be number 16, but Phil Watanabe wore number 16, and Phil played into his 40s, and at some point he just accepted the fact that he had to wear 61. And even his coach, no one has stolen that number from him. Pete Ely has had a fine week scoring goals. Was tremendous at Aussie Nationals as well. Kocher angles it around. That's high in the air, and too high, in fact, for Tullett. Picked up by McKenzie.
And that was only a turnover because of the wind. I think in stiller conditions, that disc floats perfectly into Tullett's arms.
Goat with a break chance. Mike McKenzie hits his brother Ian. Downfield, Alec Arsenal. To the end zone, Zlatic elevates and scores! Goat breaks.
Well, that D-line offense was kind of a mumbo-jumbo mix of strategy attacking down the field. We had players slashing horizontally, some trying to stick to a vertical stack, but in the end, just attacking this near sideline, paying off, and Zlatic using his size to convert this game's first break.
Mario Zlatic delivers the sky and gives Toronto its first lead. There's some signs of intensity from Goat, but really they've been relaxed through the first few days of this tournament. Sachin Raina telling us before the game, this is no joke. They've played as much, if not more, spike ball than they've played Ultimate so far this week. Mario Zlatic, just maybe the best spike ball player on Goat's roster.
And good to see him out there. He did sustain a little injury playing spike ball with everybody.
It's a dangerous game. Mikkel, bothered by Masick. Kelly on the mark. Evans shoots it. Tullett read it well. About 5 yards shy of the goal line. Mikkel trying to break free, does. Little lefty backhand rising into Mikkel's grasp.
Really aggressive pivoting there by Tullett too.
Oh, and Mikkel's throw That's a chemistry catch right there. Koch tried to switch his balance at the last second. Tulit, again, just shy of the goal line. There's a ton of traffic in front of him now. He wisely resets. Evans and Tulit both made the same cut, and now they both clear for Kocher. Colony looks a couple levels above where they were on Sunday.
Well, and I think that's in part because this offense is becoming more and more of the Jimmy Mickle show, going every other in the red zone. And his size, his ability to move the mark, his ability to abuse just a slight positioning adjustment. He's pivoted over onto his backhand and reaches back across as the mark lunges to get that flick off. There aren't many throwers of his caliber that have that size and can pull that off.
So I was talking earlier today when we were just spectating the Ring Clapham game about how I feel Jonathan Nethercutt, who's a player of Mickle's caliber, has developed in the past couple years a strict and improved sense of when to play with a team and when to push the throttle a little bit individually and take over. How have you seen Mickle evolve in that way of his decision-making when he needs to go either other or when he's more of a team player?
You know, I think his mentality is always wanting to put the team first, but on the field, I've always seen him assume that every other role. I think the first half of the Chalk game, we saw both him and Kocher trying to take that step back, let the whole offense work itself out, but they weren't having success until he stepped in and took the keys.
I mean, even on the USA team at WUGC with a stacked roster of 21, 22, 23 players, it was still Mickle on the O-line. That throws a difficult one into traffic, and who cares? It's caught by Boychuk. Goodness gracious. When that was released, it looked like trouble, and Boychuk saved the day.
Goat seems to have no fear with these same third down the line hucks, mid-range or not. And with a defender peeling off the back, Boychuk, as we hear all of the Goat players admiring the replay, something they don't often get to do at an ultimate tournament. Just great athleticism and body positioning by Boychuk to make that grab.
Boychuk, another one of those young guys coming into his own. He's 25 now. Originally from Toronto. Not a big guy, but quick and tough with good instincts. Hochhalter to pull. Goat leading by 1. Pretty good pace to this game. Only 3 total turnovers so far. This Hochhalter pull is using the wind to try to come back. And it is out the back. So Tulit will initiate. Cole Keffer on the mark, a late add-on to this team, a rugby star, or Australian rules football actually, I believe. Keffer is a sturdy athlete. So is Tulit. Mark Evans, slippery, fires deep. Shepard and Mickle both nearby, and it's Shepard taking charge in the end zone. Second goal for Alex Shepard, who also played 11 years of rugby before finding ultimate. Started playing with a disc September of 2011.
But once again, we're seeing Mark Evans's shot selection proving to be wise and valuable. Also just using the right amount of force to fight the crosswind really easy for a backhand to be released with that inside-out edge and it potentially get pushed out of bounds on that far sideline. But he's got the right angle, the right snap, bending right back into the streaking shepherd.
While this is going on, Mark Evans' old club team Ring of Fire is playing Cusp CUSB, the Italian squad from Bologna, and has been very impressive so far throughout the week. Won their pool by beating Clapham, obliterated Comunidad Al Oso yesterday afternoon. And I think Cusp has kind of assumed that perch as maybe the best European team at the moment, in competition with Clapham from Great Britain and Germany's Bad Skid.
Well, there's no doubt they have the best defense in Europe. I'm not questioning that. I still want to see the offense and the patience from their D-line offense to be fully convinced of that mantle.
Their offense has certainly been bolstered by a couple Canadians and Tim Sang and Rumi Tejpar, a couple Americans as well. Thomas Edmonds, Jordan Taylor. But I'm with you, their defense is stout. Fun matchup here, Harris and Mickle. Jimmy on defense here, I believe for the first time in the game.
Kocher crossing over too, marking Ben Burrell.
The bid took him off Burrell, and now Burrell has it on the brink of the goal line, swings it. Boychuk to Harris. Goat always feels good when the disc is in Cam Harris's hands. And the veteran picks up the assist. It's 6-5 Goat leading Colony. Toronto up a break over the talented team from Sydney.
If you want to be a high performer, eat like one. Start with a balanced diet and drink plenty of water. Good nutrition is one of the best ways to boost your mental and your physical health.
Sachin Reyna's team up a break, leading 6-5. Goat with only one turnover. Australia Colony wishes the score was 6-5 in favor of them, but it's 6-5 Goat.
Sachin Reyna, a veteran of this Toronto Ultimate community, a secondary handler for this Goat squad, providing reliable handling services for their offense for quite some time.
So Tulit goes into the bush behind the field, retrieves the disc that rolled up the hill.
I'll be honest, those discs, once they make it past that fencing there, they can roll for quite a while. I was just taking in the General Strike game against Double Wide in the last round, and I had to chase one all the way down to the parking lot for one of the General Strike guys off the pole.
You are such a team player.
Yeah, I'll be expecting my tips from General Strike before the week's out.
General Strike had an impressive win against Chevron earlier today, but fell short against Austin Double Wide, who remains perfect. Tulit rips it. Mickle versus Zlatic. Jimmy's got it.
Well, this is exactly what Tom Tulit was dreaming of when he and Mickle started scheming about ways for him to be the part of this Colony squad, and it's hard to overstate how much we've seen his role change in this offense just in the first few days of this tournament, and first 6 goals for Colony. Jimmy's been involved in 4 of them.
Another nice grab for the Golden Boy from Golden, Colorado. The first player ever to win a USAU College Championship, Club Championship, and the Callahan in the same year.
And this has got to be nice, welcoming, familiar territory for Mickle. Back in 2014 at Mason High School is exactly where he won that college championship and Callahan Award.
Just talking about it, covering Fury Riot, a homecoming for Cassie Swafford, Ohio State.
That's right.
In a different way, Bethany Kaler was injured during that final. Might have been a difference maker for Oregon had she been healthy, but a Cincinnati native returning home for a world championship experience. So we're tied at 6. There have been 3 turnovers total in the first 12 points of this game. And Toronto's O-line continuing to shred this win pretty well. Jimmy Mickle's gonna get a breather here. And you see the GOAT 7 on the line. Ochterlony, Harris, McKnight, Boychuk, Armstrong, Burrell, and Hurst. A year ago at this time, Nathan Hurst was in Belgium playing his fair share of European Ultimate. Couldn't confirm it, but there had to have been a Colony timeout during that point. Their entire team was on the field. There was a lengthy break and another roller up the hill. Ian, you want to go get that?
Evan, are you tipping me after this game?
Sure.
All right, sorry everybody. We'll be right back. Just taking the headset off real quick.
No, wait, hang on. Hang on. Thompson went after it. He
Okay,
beat you to
all right,
it.
all right. I'm back.
Thompson McKnight, the veteran thrower, turned 31 in April. Been playing for GOAT since 2008. Harris. This is Armstrong. It's been fun to watch McKnight and Armstrong develop the camaraderie together. We've seen Colony put the zone on GOAT when they're going the other direction. This is the first time we've seen it with GOAT going left to right. Of course, it's a crosswind, near side of the field to the far side of the field. Here's Ochterlony, the veteran. He's still quick and he still can go up for discs. Andy Ochterlony. Knifing throw through that breeze. Disc covered over that white line. Harris snagged it in bounds. Well, again, the zone is doing what Colony wants it to do. And then Harris drops the hammer.
And I think that far sideline is where Colony wants to trap GOAT and make those offline throws fight the crosswind.
Tremendous poise so far in the possession from the GOAT offense. Can they finish it? Ochterlony didn't want to force it. Calmly resets.
And I'm really surprised that Colony's been staying in this zone all the way down to the end zone. I would have expected a man-to-man transition once they got to the red zone.
That no call from the sideline. One thing about Colony, they don't have a coach. And patience pays off for GOAT. Ben Burrell, if there was a scandal where it came out he had some invisible stickum on his hands, I'd believe it, because it seems like he catches everything, even if it's not an easy grab to make.
And he doesn't need any fancy gloves that may or may not have some special stuff rubbed on him.
So GOAT continues to lead by a break, 7-6 in this first half. Tremendous round of ultimate one seeds going head to head in both the men's and women's divisions. Behind us on the adjacent field, you've got Molly Brown and Revolution, a rematch of the 2017 US Open women's final, which was an unbelievable game. Tom Stiles and Robin Wiseman busy narrating about 50 yards behind us. Here it's Evan Lepler and Ian Toner. First half between GOAT and Colony. Power pool action and bracket play begins tomorrow in the men's and women's division.
Evan, you talked about that great power pool matchup in the women's division going on behind us. Revolution currently tied with Molly Brown, 6-6, a rematch, as you mentioned, of the US Open final just last summer.
Tulit looking for a reset. Vasiliev making it tough. Anatoly Vasiliev playing in his 4th World Ultimate Club Championships. Long been considered one of the better handler defenders in the sports. Jason Huynh bid, couldn't get there. Now this shot deep. Mickle, Kelly approaching, and Mickle rises up. Colony converts.
Well, that's now 5 of 7 goals for this Colony squad that Mickle's been involved in. Four assists. And I've seen this GOAT defense change their matchups.
Yep.
Masik Kelly's been playing on him. Zlatic has been playing on him. Masik Kelly's so close.
Yeah, athletic bid there from Masik Kelly.
I think that's the right approach. You got to keep giving him a different look, a different assignment. Don't let him settle into any comfort zone. Against these GOAT defenders.
When you were Jimmy's teammate and you wanted Johnny Bravo to click, in your view, would you rather Jimmy be a receiver or a thrower primarily?
I wish I could give you a straightforward answer, but it really depends on the conditions,
That's
right?
Fair.
If things are still, I want him to be a receiver because I've got more faith in the other throwers on the line to be able to power through and get to him. If it's a little windier, he's got that throwing prowess that can really stretch the field that not many other throwers can.
Ochterlony with no one behind him. Now Armstrong comes back from the stack for the reset. Harris, a neck-high clap catch. And it's Boychuk. Active mark. Dan Petrov laying out a couple times as Boychuk pivoted. Hurst. McKnight, third sliding grab of the game. GOAT's offense has been flawless. And the perfection continues as GOAT takes half 8-7, Toronto leading by a break.
And I don't think we've said enough about Ben Burrell's performance for this GOAT offense in the first half. 3 goals, 1 crucial assist there just to bring things into half. He's been a facilitator, a cog, a playmaker, and he'll need to continue that into the second half.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome, regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds.
And even defy gravity.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust,
and eventually even learn to fly.
A place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
Sunny skies, steady breeze, very pleasant Ultimate and spectating conditions. And we're at the half in this final power pool game of the day on the showcase field. 8-7 GOAT leads. Certainly Jimmy Mickle and Chris Kocher made their mark, but the Toronto offense, Ian Toner, did not make any mistakes.
It didn't matter what defensive look that Colony defensive unit was throwing at them, zone, man-to-man looks. They appeared to have the patience and the composure to navigate anything thrown their way, and Ben Burrell had a lot to do with that GOAT O-line success in the first half.
You can say the same about Jay Boychuk. Toronto's offense didn't always take the easy play. Of course, Jimmy Mickle had to make some spectacular grabs. But I think the patience that Toronto played with, especially in the red zone, was the story of the half. There were only 3 total turnovers in the game. Colony with 2, GOAT with 1. Where would Colony be without Jimmy Mickle?
Well, I think they'd be in a much steeper hole, reminiscent of that chalk game we saw on Sunday. They've clearly reoriented their offense with Mickle as a focal point.
8-7 Toronto leads at the half. GOAT will receive to begin the second half in just a few minutes as the Colony team plays hacky sack and the GOAT team plays spike ball. A friendly day here at the World Championships.
My name is Nab Rao. I'm president of the World Flying Disc Federation, or WFDF. With me is Brian Giesel, who's the vice president and ultimate chair. Luke and Reiner with me, and guys, those are some wacky shirts. So why are you here?
Now we are here because we are so thrilled that the WFDF on last Saturday informed us that we are the organizers of the 2020 World Championship.
We are really happy to get the world to Leeuwarden in the north of the Netherlands. The event will be in the heart of the city. There will be 3 venues. Ultimate players can enjoy the city can enjoy the Ultimate. We will be sure that it will be a great event.
And I've had the pleasure of being over. I came over for a site visit. And I think it's a fantastic facility. I've been to a lot of Worlds. Great fields, great hotels and everything, but the one thing that also really stood out for me was your party venue. You've got a huge theater in the middle of it, and I don't know how many rooms you're going to have going for that, but it sounds like you're going to have a great social atmosphere.
What impressed you the most about the venue here, the opening ceremony, and what's going on in terms of the tournament organization itself?
Being here in Ohio gives us a lot of lessons. We can talk to a lot of people. We talk to merchandisers, we talk to event organizers, and we talk to the players, to the teams. We're thrilled to see 3,000 people playing Ultimate. We see what they like, what they don't like. We can learn a lot from the Ultimate community. They're so friendly to each other, and we are so looking forward to have this event in the Netherlands.
I look forward to staying in a houseboat, and it'll be a lot of fun. Excited to have you guys be our partners for this, and so we look forward to seeing everyone in 2020 in the Netherlands.
See you in 2020.
All right, guys.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
See you in Leeuwarden in 2020.
Ian Toner, Evan Lepler back with you from the showcase field here in Lebanon, Ohio. It's 8-7 GOAT leading Colony. Ian, we've seen Colony throw a few different types of punches defensively at GOAT, and none have landed. What else, if anything, can they do? They'll be pulling to start the second half.
Well, I think the most important thing is to continue to take away those initiating pull plays that GOAT loves to run and is so comfortable with. Whether that's running a full-on zone for a few throws of the point or an entire point, or running a transition junk. I think the more throws that you're gonna make GOAT have to complete in this wind, the more difficult it's gonna be for them to preserve this perfect offensive performance.
These are the types of games that you want to play. It's certainly a little more intense when there's elimination on the line, and that is not the case today. But power pools is a fun wrinkle to any World Championship event in that you get to see some unique matchups and some of the best teams going head-to-head. Of course, I don't know if Fury Riot is a unique matchup. It's a regular matchup, but it's always a pleasure to watch.
And I miss seeing those at the USA Ultimate Club Championships as well. The first club championships I ever played in with Ring of Fire back in 2012 was the last time we saw that format, and you got a finals preview in power pools, double wide facing revolver.
Yeah, how much a couple days can change things.
That's right.
Dalton Smith is not a teenager anymore, and his double-wide team, perfect 6-0 after a victory over General Strike. Can GOAT continue its offensive precision? There's such an interesting mix of players on this offensive line. The super veteran like Ochterlony, steady, reliable vets like McKnight and Harris. And then you got the younger generation, Armstrong, Hurst, Boychuk, and Burrell. And they're clicking.
And this is pretty quintessential GOAT vert stack offense there once they settled into their end zone set.
In your opinion, how has Toronto come to embody offensive precision with their system the way they have?
I think a lot of the younger players that are now contributors on this team, the Jackie Howes, the Armstrongs, they've all come up learning from the Sachin Reynas, the Thompson McKnights.
Scott Hasty, Evan Phillips. I mean, there is a pipeline. You're absolutely right about that.
And so the only way they know how to play, or the predominant structure and system and strategies that they've been taught, are the ones that GOAT employs, and that's what they've aspired to be a part of.
And it's a little strange to see a GOAT team without Mark Lloyd, without Andrew Carroll, without Jeff Lindquist.
Without Shooter Hasty on the sidelines.
Far fewer scoobers thrown from the GOAT roster with Lindquist not in uniform. Isaiah Masik-Kelly is one of those guys who has stepped into certainly a big role. Masik-Kelly just turned 27 in May. Masik-Kelly, Mickle, Kocher, all around the same age. And it feels like they've all been around for a while, and yet they're just entering their prime. Ely quickly to Evans. Mickle staying behind the disc here.
Those are some relatively easy inside shots, just knifing through the GOAT junks.
Authoritative throw from Mickle, and there's another one from Kocher. Colony's in the end zone. Kind of a delayed reaction from everybody.
Yeah, I think there was some confusion over whether or not Shepard's first point of contact was in bounds, but Masik-Kelly was quite definitive in signaling a goal as Kocher sets up that break mark throw with a nice inside fake, and we see there on the replay.
Impossible to tell if his toe may have nipped the line from the first angle, but I do think it looked like it was in bounds. So another goal for Alex Shepard.
You saw the Revolution women in the back of the frame there, and that Molly Brown match is now at halftime with Revolution leading 8-7.
It's a good day to have multiple screens and multiple streams going simultaneously.
You know, it's great to be up in the booth here alongside you, but this is one of those times when I'd like to be one of those people at home. Dual screen action,
well,
have them both up.
Nice thing about it, it will be archived for you, Ian, so as soon as we're done here, you can start it from the beginning. You can put the score away right now and watch it blind, like how I watch most of my sports.
What fun would that be?
Are you kidding? Molly Brown Revolution, a new episode?
When the rest of the world already knows what happened and we'll be tweeting about it.
Well, you gotta make some sacrifices.
Media blackouts are tough.
Burrell thought about it. There's a pick. Still only 3 turnovers in the entire game. Boychuk over to McKnight. Calmly moves the disc, and then Armstrong into the end zone. Nathan Hurst is there.
And again, textbook GOAT vertical stack offense, looking to reset off the front of the stack, never moving backwards, always gaining yardage with their reset, attacking that break side. And just like that,
do you want to avoid overuse injuries? Cross-train. Get your exercise routine out of a routine and mix it up with a variety of activities. Your muscles, tendons, and joints will thank you later.
Ten 10-8 Goat leads. Game to 15. This one's been moving. Quick scores from both sides. Big pull from Massac Kelly. Tullett centers to Mickle. Kocher and make it Evans. Paul Denyer swings the disc, and downfield, here's Kocher with Keffer on the mark. Colony's offense has not played poorly. It has only turned it over twice, with Goat breaking once. Zlotich not wanting to give Mickle anything up that line. And Mickle gets it off anyway, like he's done to so many other marks in his days. Nice reset. Evans leading Mickle to the open space. And now Evans swirling around. No need to force that push pass. And there's still no need to force that push pass. Mark Evans rejected by Mario Zlotich. And now Massac Kelly shooting it deep. It's both Zlotich and Arsenault, and it's denied.
Alex Shepard proving his value to this Colony offensive unit, not just a goal scorer, also a defender, making up the ground after that disc came up and started hanging and earning the block to get the disc back for his offense.
I feel like we've seen Jimmy Mickle make that throw a few times. High release flick. Kocher staring downfield. He found Ely, who threw a fake, got his defender Barbieri off his feet. And now to the open side. Vasiliev with a look on his face like the mark may have switched. But Tulit converts, and that's a Colony hold despite the one turn for each side.
Well, from the very beginning of this point, you saw Colony offense really interested in keeping that disc here on this near sideline. They didn't want to get trapped on that crosswind, downwind, far sideline. So whatever it took, they wanted to break the mark with. Inside breaks, high release flicks, around backhands, anything to keep the disc here on this sideline.
Mark Evans breathes a sigh of relief. And great defense to get that disc back. With the way Toronto's offense is playing, 11-8 may have felt like ball game. And instead 10-9. Our wall-to-wall coverage here from the World Ultimate Club Championships continues tomorrow morning starting at 9 a.m. The matchups will be promoted on the WIFDIF tournament page later this evening. A full slate of action tomorrow as elimination play really begins and the tournament really gets underway. I mean, these past few days have been fun. All the cultures going head to head. You've been looking forward to it for, in some cases, years. But the business end of this tournament is fast approaching. And that's good news for Toronto Goat, because they look like they are among the teams that'll be competing for a spot in the semis and beyond in this men's division.
And you hear the Colony sideline shouting instruction, special emphasis on fronting the Goat receivers. We're not seeing it executed perfectly from everyone, but
it is just amazing how Goat breaks the mark with ease. And every thrower on their team can do it. Jay Boychuk to Ben Burrell. I don't think Colony has had poor marks. It's a tribute to Goat's precision in pivoting.
That's interesting that you bring up their marks. I want to see Colony's marks get flatter.
Fair.
We've seen Goat execute so many inside breaks that lead to a cascading continuation of throws down that break side that may be easy backhands with no one around. I want to see those marks get flatter, because even if you're exposing that around flick, you're exposing that around flick into the crosswind. That's going to be much harder to execute and a little more likely to pop up.
I think it's a great point. Burrell adds another notch to his statistical acumen. (11-9) now. And Massa Kelly, who's really become a versatile player, going back and forth. He started the game on offense, now he's out there on D. He's chased around Jimmy Mickle, he can chase around handlers. And he's had some pretty good pulls as well. See if he can continue that trend. That'll land in bounds. Garfield to Tulit. Kocher was taken off. He had Ian McKenzie trailing him. Mike McKenzie's downfield on Pete Ely. Tulit, crossfield hammer. Ely there. Evans. A lot of traffic in that flick side, so he goes to the backhand. Was it going to stay in bounds? No, but there was a foul on the mark, and there's no contest from Jason Huynh. Colony reorients in a straight stack, middle of the field. Mickle from the front takes over. Now Kocher, little two-man game. Tullett out of the stack. I think Sachin Reyna will be pleased with the defensive intensity of this possession. Despite the individual skill and quickness from some of these Colony players, they're really being forced to work for their 10th goal of the game. Evans on the sideline. Didn't have Kocher. He does connect with Mickle. McKenzie bouncing on the mark.
And this is where the GOAT defense wants Colony. They want to pin them on that trap sideline so that throws off the line have a greater likelihood of popping up into this crosswind.
Stahl coming in on 0. Colony needs to be careful here because you can feel this GOAT defense feeling pretty good about themselves near the goal line, but it's Mickle to Tullett. Two veterans, and a foul was called. It's coming back. Ben Prees chasing Tullett. Claims there was a foul.
Couldn't see the action from the stack. It looks like Prees might be arguing that there was a push-off with Tullett using his shoulder to initiate contact and then gain that separation as he sprinted to the cone.
It'll be a contested foul. It's going back to Mickle. Trying to squeeze it through to Kocher. And Colony executes.
I'm not going to lie, Evan, that's just kind of a disappointing end to that point because we'd seen such intensity and just a simple aggressive strike cut. You know that is exactly where Kocher wants to attack. You know that's that space that you want to take away, and I know he's quick, but you can strategically position your body in such a way that he needs to run through you to be able to attack that space, and Kocher just making him pay.
So Colony still has only been broken once, but that is the difference. Goat back on offense with plenty of familiar faces. Thompson, McKnight standing in the middle of that line. The flags glimmering in the background on this breezy Tuesday in Ohio.
And some junk here once again from the Colony defense trying to stifle that split stack. I like this move.
Only staying at a few throws. Harris firing deep, but that was not going to work. You could tell from the start.
And that's exactly what that Colony defense wanted to generate. Have one of those initiating handlers be hucking from a standstill without momentum, not in flow. Those shots are so much harder to hit.
When you look at this defensive line that Colony has on the field, who needs to do the heavy lifting to try to get this break?
Well, Alex Latomatos is going to be the gentleman picking up the disc and the key anchor, unleashing any throws.
High throw, hauled in, Gavin Moore. He'll fire. And there was contact, but doesn't appear like there was a call. And you just want more from the Colony D-line than that.
And I think Moore had eyes for the end zone on the release, but didn't have the touch for the wind.
Ochterlony's going to try. Harris in pursuit this time. And this is officially the ugliest point to what has been a very clean game. The rush, Goat, I should say, had just one turnover in the entire first half and just another one early in the second half, 2 on this point alone. In the backfield, Max Hodgson firing a geep. They've got numbers, and the catch made by Moore to the end zone. Petrov's got it. Colony has found the equalizer, but a stall was called way back at the other goal line. So hold everything. Huge turning point here.
Game advisors stepping in to explain the rules to both players involved.
Latomatos and Armstrong.
What'd you say yesterday, Evan? If you think this is taking too long, you're not alone.
Rings true again. Scoreboard says 11-all, but it appears Colony's going to lose one. And the game advisors seem as frazzled as the teams. When you can't hear these conversations, it's watching grass grow.
Personally, I think it's more like watching paint.
Going to end up being a contested stall. So Colony still has 70 yards of work to do to try to tie this up. Gavin Moore lost it on the pivot, and Burrell won't contest the foul. Rob Andrews lasers it up the line and into the grass. Third chance of the point for Goat. Harris swings for McKnight, who launches long for Hurst. Nathan Hurst can't get there. So Goat has now turned it over more times in this point than they did in the previous 21.
Looks like Dan Petrov is going to be taking an injury sub. I wonder who's coming in for him.
That's convenient as a way to get one of the best offensive players in the world onto the field. You think there should be a rule that, Petrov can't play a certain number of points?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you take an injury, you have to not play for the next 3 points, something like that, 2 points?
Absolutely. I'm not arguing with you on that one.
Or maybe even 1. I mean, in the National Football League, if you're down in the field, you need to sit out 1 play. So if it's the left tackle or the quarterback or the center, it could be a significant shift for 1 play in a big moment of a game. Mikkel fires it. And just shy of midfield, the deep shot goes up looking for Sutas. And he was turned around and could not haul it in. That disc played tricks on him. Tied him into a pretzel.
Trying to change direction while running full speed. Adjust your orientation as that disc is coming in behind you. Difficult thing for any receiver to do, and Benjamin Sutas is the player down on the pitch.
The first 21 points of this game sped by. Take another look. Sutas just stumbled, and you saw the neck kind of snap backwards a little bit. No contact.
Sutas, 6 years of ultimate under his belt. Sydney University, Pompey Magnus. Used to play basketball and soccer. He's got national and team experience representing Australia's under-23 squad.
Game advisor Ruben Berg just popped over and said that they're stopping the official time on the game clock.
Another nugget of information that we've gotten is he's been dealing with hamstring tendinitis for most of this year. Not sure if anything was aggravated on that awkward fall to the turf.
Goat has the disc. And Thompson McKnight will pick it up. Massa Kelly going long, and McKnight takes a timeout. So 11-10. Goat continues to cling to its 1-break lead. Remember, about half an hour ago when it looked like Colony had scored, and then there was a stall called, and this game has reached a snail's pace at 11-10, but it's an interesting dynamic because there is an importance to this game. At the same time, not nearly as significant as the importance of the games will be tomorrow and the next day and the day after that.
And I think this game is more important for Colony than it is for Goat. If Goat has to tack an extra game on, they've got the depth to fight through those early stages of bracket play. The rest that you could earn benefits Colony so much more intensely, given how strongly they rely on Mikkel, on Kocher, on Evans.
So let's see if the timeout can settle Goat down a little bit. They've taken some uncharacteristic shots that have been uncatchable, quite frankly, on this 1 point. McKnight has Armstrong behind him. Hurst, Burrell, Boychuk, Mazzucchelli, and Harris downfield. A lot of times when Toronto needs something good to happen, they rely on Mazzucchelli. And that's again the case here. McKnight clears out of the handler's space. Armstrong returns into it, and Harris juggles the catch but hangs on. Gets it to Hurst, and Goat has Colony on its heels. Oh goodness, Armstrong just fired it into the ground. The labyrinth continues. Looking long. Andrews denied by Harris. Cam Harris gets up big to preserve the lead.
I think it's clear at this point, no matter what happens, we are going to mark this particular point as a turning point in this game. The volume of turnovers, the opportunities that both teams have had. Goat's gonna pull away, or Colony's gonna have its team right in the mix.
Mazzucchelli takes another shot. There goes Boychuk. He's got Jimmy Todd Hill beat, and Goat wins the battle of attrition to take a 12-10 lead.
Well, there was nothing Jimmy Todd Hill could do because that throw went up the break side. No help from the mark there. That's just gotta be sealed. That throw can't get off, otherwise the rest of the downfield defense doesn't work.
Jay Boychuk again, and a great throw to put it to space and make it catchable, but this was the D of the point from Cam Harris to the zenith.
And how frustrated are some of those Colony players at this point, thinking back to that stall, pre-stall, contested stall issue earlier on in the point that preceded what would have been a Colony score. When you're a part of that team, you got to find a way to block that out of your mind and move on and start thinking about the next point and how you're going to win the matchup next time you get out there on the field.
So a fresh 7 out there for Goat. Jimmy Mickle stays on the field as to be expected for Colony. And again, this feels like a must score for the Australian team.
Split stack here from the Colony offense. Kocher streaking up the middle.
Tremendous D from Cole Keffer, denying that under to Kocher, forcing the reset to Garfield.
He's done some scouting. He knew Kocher was just setting that up to try and come back underneath.
Evans wants it. Shepard has 2 Goat players beat, and Evans delivers the dime.
It's amazing how many goals Alex Shepard has caught this weekend in a clap catch fashion.
Right.
And I think that's a testament, 1, to the service he's getting from the likes of Mark Evans and Jimmy Mickle, and 2, to his separation speed and timing, just leaving his defenders in the dust.
Another fine throw from Evans, slicing through the wind into Shepard's grasp. So Colony converts, but they're still in a spot where they're going to need to break Goat twice to win this game. And they're still looking for their first break of the game. The Mario Zlatic Sky in the end zone to our right, the only break of the first 23 points. The other 22, the team that has received the pull has eventually scored. Big pull from Mickle. And it's going to stay in bounds. Just the way Goat centers the disc, there's a calmness that exudes from their formation. Hurst, a little shimmy shake to get it to Burrell. And then he knew Tullett wasn't looking, so he found Ochterlony. And a pick call downfield, going back to the big man.
The rare backwards reset for this Goat offense.
They still have not been broken, and it's Boychuk again. And I gotta be honest, I watched Ring earlier today. I watched Revolver earlier today. Have not seen a lot of double Y, but you can speak to that. Certainly Cusp, Bad Skid. I'm thinking all the other top seeds. I haven't seen an offense run as smoothly as Goats has.
They've been unfazed by any look the Colony defense has thrown at them, and for the most part, the only turnovers we've seen have been execution errors. We haven't seen a volume of poor decisions from their primary offensive playmakers.
13-11, game to 15. As we wrap up Tuesday coverage from the World Ultimate Club Championships. Evan Lepler, Ian Toner along with you. Appreciate you checking in to what's happening here in Ohio. On the adjacent field, it's Revolution 12, Molly Brown 10. Tullett looking at a side stack this time, creating a whole field for Mickle to race through. Ely coming underneath, resets for Tullett. Higher position, but nobody was bolting deep, so the reset goes to Shepard. It had to be a 60-mile-an-hour laser flick to Kocher. You ever have a radar gun and see how fast Jimmy Mickle can really throw?
They've got a radar gun here just outside the players' tent and beer garden.
I feel like there aren't too many players that are capable of throwing the disc harder than him.
The top speed I've seen on the whiteboard, you know, that credible source,
right,
73 miles an hour.
That's fast for a Frisbee.
That's a major league changeup.
Not a good one. Major league curveball. You won't see any 73-mile-an-hour changeups from Max Scherzer or Chris Sale tonight in the Major League All-Star game. I promise you that. There's a bit of a changeup to Evans. Now Tullett. Evans bluffs the high release. Taking his time, waiting for the opening. And again, Colony delivers. They have been persistent, but they still need to break this Toronto offense. Otherwise, they will suffer their first setback here at the World Championships. It's 13-12. Toronto leads. Colony scores to get within one.
Heat illness strikes kids and adults alike during summer workouts. Watch for muscle cramps, fever, nausea, headache, weakness, or feeling faint. Act fast to get cool and get fluids.
The World Flying Disc Federation proudly presents coverage of the World Ultimate Club Championships. It's 13-12 GOAT from Toronto, leading Colony from Sydney, Australia. GOAT on offense with the same 7. Harris, Ochterlony, Hurst, Burrell, Boychuk, Armstrong, and McKnight with the disc. And what a surprise, Cam Harris makes the first cut. Oh, tight window, but Boychuk able to come up with it. And then a tough catch made by Burrell. And just like that, jamming it up the sideline. No signal as of yet, but Hurst has celebrated the goal by flipping it in the air. I wish the game advisor just signaled in or out. You're standing there, make a call. It doesn't have to be a binding call, but let us know what you think, especially those of us watching from afar who aren't on the field, who want to know what's happening in the game. We could have known that 10, 15 seconds ago if the yellow-shirted fellow had signaled. 14-12 GOAT. Do you disagree with me?
I don't disagree with you whatsoever. Great pressure there. Lucas Nichols coming so close to that block, but once that disc was moving past half field, GOAT just content to jam it up the fore side in those small windows, and Colony unable to defend the front cone.
Game advisor just watched the replay on the big board and signaled that it was in, for what it's worth.
Game advisors also signaling that this is game point for GOAT, and if you're unfamiliar with the game advisor hand signals, everyone's been getting a kick out of game point looking quite similar to a dab.
Right. Massa Kelly, who's played a ton of offense through his time with GOAT, now an anchor on D. Here Mickle starts at the back of the stack. Kocher was at the front, and it's Evans who emerges. Mickle bluffs deep, coming underneath. He elevated for that throw that was still rising when he caught it. Kocher to Evans in power position, but nobody was going on the catch. That throw run down by Kocher. Thank goodness he can accelerate as quickly as anybody in the sport.
Only took him 2 throws to gain all that yardage back.
And Colony still has only been broken 1 time. It was that sky from Zlatic in the first half. I believe it made the score 6-5. The game's only break. And if Colony cannot break on this next point, GOAT will walk off of this field with a perfect 6-0 record at Worlds. Heading into bracket play, which will commence tomorrow.
Well, if I'm the Colony defense, Tom Tullett or Mark Evans talking to Lada Matos or anyone else, I think I'd like to go with an old Jim Shetler standby defensive play call here. Straight up, no under for the first half of the field. Yes, that exposes some of the wider throws, but really,
you want them to take that chance?
I want them to take that chance. I want those primary handlers to throw not in flow, stationary cutters that are being fronted, and then transition at half field to backhand. I don't want to let those flick insides off any further because they've just been decimating the Colony defense so far this game.
Well, Jim Shetler, of course, a Callahan winner at Stanford University in the 90s, became the coach of the University of Colorado Mama Bird program when Jimmy Mickle was in his prime there, led them to the championship, and now leads Denver Johnny Bravo.
And congratulations to Jim Shetler just giving birth. He and his wife Melanie.
I was going to say.
His wife Melanie giving birth. He and his wife Melanie welcoming a child into their family.
That's pretty cool.
Says the guy who's just, what, 6 weeks away from welcoming?
6 weeks from tomorrow, but who's counting? So I don't know how Jim Shetler's feeling right now, but I will in the span of a couple months. All right, 14-13, Goat with a lead and the disc after Colony launches this pull. The longest, ugliest point of the game at 11-10 is the only point of the game where the Goat offense turned over the disc. No new faces on this Goat O-line. Why change it if it's working? And the reality is that the Goat cutters, Hurst, Burrell, Boychuk, Harris, Ochterlony, have not been stopped, have not been slowed down by Colony's D. Here you got Mickle on Burrell. You got Evans out there on Hurst. Kocher is chasing Armstrong. Deep shot goes up, testing Evans. Hurst is there, and Goat delivers a 15-13 victory to close out power pool play. Unbroken. Goat prevails. Only one break in the entire game. Mario Zlatic elevating for a tremendous catch in the first half. And it didn't take long for Goat to finish it on game point.
Just a simple initiation. Finding that cutter out of the split stack underneath. And next throw into the end zone. I'm sure they'll take 2 throw goals anytime.
So a fair share of tremendous plays from both sides in this game. Stars coming out for both teams. Here's the one break of the game. Zlatic almost missed it, but he didn't. And sometimes that's the difference. Antony, your quick takeaways for each team as they move into the meatiest part of the tournament.
I've seen Colony improve significantly, even though that's because of the greater reliance on Kocher and Mickle. Goat's offense looks great. I think they're just going to need to preserve their energy, stay in the right mindset. If it ain't broke, like you said, don't fix it.
No Andrew Carroll, no Mark Lloyd, no Jeff Lindquist, no problem for the Goat offense. They win it over Colony 15-13, a game we were looking forward to. It delivered the goods, just one break. Tremendous offense from both sides, and Goat takes it by the margin of 2. That'll wrap up our Showcase Field coverage for this Tuesday. From WUCC, on behalf of the World Flying Disc Federation, our executive producer, Tim Rockwood, our statistician, Melissa Battis, Ian Toner, our entire crew, Evan Lepler saying good night from Cincinnati.